Okay, we're at the sewing stage. One thing I want to mention is we're not going to use any of our clear elastic because we kind of want that t-shirt fabric to flare out and puff up so you get this nice little gathering, you know, ruffly effect. If I use that plastic, it would give me a nice smooth seam, and I don't want that. I want it to ruffle up like that. So we're not going to use anything but sewing, just sewing it on the regular sewing machine. Okay, so we're at the sewing stage. So what we're going to do is we're going to take both of these sleeves and we're going to sew them together. Put a seam down the middle. So let's go ahead and start that. Check your machine. Take some of that fabric that you didn't use and test your different stitches from your sewing machine and find out what knit stitch works the best on your machine. So even though this one is my best machine sewing stitch, it may not be the best one for you. So you have to test and find out. So let's go ahead and put that seam in the sleeve. Okay, so it's up to you now. If you want to finish the seam off and cut it, you can, or just trim it down. It's just whatever you want to do. There's really no, if you want to make it really a nice finished outfit, then and make it look professionally done, go ahead. But if I was just going to cut this up into slices and anything else, I would probably just go with it the way it is. Now you don't have to worry about which side is which because your sleeves are exactly identical. So we turn this to the right side, so we want to sew right sides to right sides. So it doesn't matter, like I said, which sides you go on. So just go ahead and put right sides together, and we're going to pin it down before we sew it so we get it in the right position. So turn your body of the t-shirt outside. You're looking at the outside of the t-shirt, and we've got the right sides out next to each other, and we're just going to pin it down. So there's one side of the t-shirt, and here's the other side. And we're going to sew in like a U, just like we do when we're making the tights. We're just going to sew a U. If you've ever made a peasant blouse, this is almost exactly the same exact pattern, except instead of putting the shirring elastic on the top, the elastic thread on top, they put a casing in, and then they put the elastic through, and you end up with a peasant blouse. Okay, so let's go ahead and put another pin down there. Okay, so let me see if you can see what I just did. Okay, here is the t-shirt, here is the sleeve, and I just inset the sleeve and I pinned it on. So now I'm just going to sew a U. I'm going to give myself a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to start in on the seam so that I can come back and pick up the rest of it, because I don't want my t-shirt fabric to get caught in the sewing machine. Okay, you might have to help it along. You're feeding through the bottom where that seam is. Okay, one of my pins came out. I just want to make sure my fabric's still in the right location. Yep, it's still good. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to pick up that little tiny bit that I didn't get from before, and that's because I didn't want my machine to eat the fabric. We're only talking not even a half of an inch. I probably could have done it, but I didn't. So here we go. Sometimes it's just not worth the time it takes to clean your machine and rethread when those feed dogs eat up the fabric. So when you do it like this, it might take you a couple extra seconds like it just did me, but it saves you the aggravation. Okay, so basically that's what we just did. We just put in one of the sleeves. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other one, and then that's what we just did. We just sewed it in. See what I meant about it being a little tiny sleeve? It's going to be a very short sleeve, because by the time we put this 1/4 inch down and then put the elastic in, it's going to be a short sleeve. Okay, I'm going to put the other sleeve in, and then I'm going to come back and then we'll do the 1/4 inch tuck down. Okay, be right back. Okay, so here's where we're at. I got the other sleeve put in, so we're basically at this point in the process. 2 sleeves put on, and basically all we have left now to do is make our turns and do our shearing elastic, our elastic thread. I forgot to mention I'm using a jersey needle. I'm using an 80-12. But probably any of your jersey needles will be fine. You don't have to use that specific weight, but that's just what I pulled out. I forgot to mention on the last video on those, I should probably leave this for the camisole, but instead of doing that casing, I tried to sew the elastic directly on that yellow fabric, and it was just too much stitching zigzag for that, and it warped. So that's why I decided to go with that casing instead of the sewing it directly. Maybe if I used a different stitch it would have been okay with the elastic encased inside the fabric. But you know, so these are the kind of things you just have to test on your machine to see what will work and what won't. Because this is much better than having to put a casing in, because you do this all in one step, whereas on a casing you have to turn and case and then insert the elastic and go through all that. But you know, you can I'll try a different stitch next time and see if I can get this to work when I do the camisole videos, because this is a much easier step than what I did. Okay, so now we want a flare on the top of this shirt. We want it to flare out. We want that ruffly look effect. So I'm not going to try and worry about whether or not I get any stretching in here. I actually want stretching. So I'm going to just take my zigzag stitch, whatever one. I'm just going to go with my regular zigzag. Because this is a small zigzag, I'm going to go to a higher zigzag, so I'm going to add a couple length stitches to the zigzag. And I'm not going to even pin it down, I'm just going to start zigzagging. You can, if you don't like as much of this trim in here that we just did on the sleeves, you can cut that down also. I don't know if I did or not. I did a double stitch, and then I cut it down on the inside here. So I did do that on the other ones. So let me go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'll come back and we'll do the well, you know what, I'm not going to. I'm just going to go with it the way it is right now. I'm not even going to worry about doing that. Okay, so we're just going to make a turn down, and then I'm going to go down about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to start zigzagging. I'm just going to turn as I go. I'm not even going to pin it. So check your stitching, see if it's not too big. If it's too big, then move to a smaller stitch. Okay, what I want to do is I want to catch my one stitch on the fold and one on the actual fabric, so it finishes off the edging a little bit. So I've got to get that started. So let's get my fabric over to the edge better. Okay. So now I'm in the right location, and I'm going to line up my seam down the center of my pressure foot. And because you're going to get such a big, nice ruffle on here, you really don't have to be really accurate with your stitching, because you're going to have elastic in here. And so if you make a few mistakes, nobody's even going to notice. Move it over that hump. In line. Okay, I'm almost done. I was just going to come back later, but I'm almost done. Poke myself with that pin. These quilting pins are just sharp as needles. I'm going to cut this off so I don't have to get it caught up in the other one coming up. Okay. Okay, so we are in the home stretch here. Done. Well, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so see how it's stretched out a little bit? Not too badly, but it did stretch out a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the shearing elastic into my machine. If you haven't watched the video, the video on doing the elastic, you're going to take a bobbin and you're going to wind your elastic as tight around your bobbin as you can get it. Whether you have a top loader or a bottom loader, it doesn't matter. You've got to get that elastic on here, and you have to do it manually. So you want to wind your elastic thread. It only comes in two colors, white and black. So if you are going to use a different color t-shirt, you're going to be able to see the elastic thread on your finished product. So you may or may not like that idea. So if you don't like it, then just make these little beach cover-ups with the black and the white t-shirt fabric. Okay, I'm going to do this and then I'll come back. Hold on a second.